Hey, it's Les from the TV Dudes. This week, I got to chat with I Am Frankie star, Nicole AlyseNelson, about her role as Dayton Reyes on the show, how she got from North Texas to Nickelodeon, and when she first knew she wanted to be on camera. Hope you enjoy.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you for taking out the time. So you are currently playing Dayton Reyes on I Am Frankie.
Yes. Yes.
Which, for those that don't know, is a Nick show about an amazingly non-waterproof android. I think I was absolutely struck the first episode of how is this robot not waterproof, but would have been a whole different show. Can you talk a bit about getting the audition and getting the part, how that process went?
Yeah. So the process lasted about 3 months. And what's crazy is this is actually a self-submission. They kind of released it to the public, like on Actors Access, and they were having a hard time finding. It was pretty much a continent-wide search. Alex is from Canada. They searched all throughout Canada, self-tapes throughout all of the states and, the U.S. So we have a lot of people coming from really random states, not just big cities. And so because there were so many self-tapes to sort through, it took a while. And I always went in the room because I'm here in LA. And the first time I went in, I loved the character, loved the script. I only ever saw 4 pages, so I had no idea where it was going. But I really enjoyed what I had. And then I heard back probably 5 weeks later. Honestly, it was so late I forgot that I even auditioned about it. And then when I, got the producer session call back, I was like, oh my goodness, this project was great. I thought that, I don't know, they were already filming or something. Yes, I'd love to come in. And so from there, it probably took like another month to get back. And by the final round, they flew me out to Miami because we shoot in Miami. And so the testing was out there. And that was just an amazing experience, to be flown out just for an audition. I was like, and that's also the longest flight that I've had. I've never left the country. So going from LA to Miami and then Miami back to LA, I was like, wow, okay, longest flight I've been on. I want to do this right. I really want the job. And every single time I got further in the process, I just fell more in love with the story and more in love with my character.
You went to school in Texas and grew up in Texas, so you're at least somewhat used to the fact that the rest of the country is several hours away at all times.
Yes.
And I was going to ask if you were still, when you sent that audition in, if you were still in Texas or if you were in LA. Can you talk a bit about making the jump from being an RTF major at North Texas to moving out to LA and deciding to take those professional steps?
Mm-hmm. It was really challenging. I had never left Texas. I didn't know anything else, and I didn't plan on leaving college when I did. It was all really sudden. I came out here to LA just for like a summer internship. And it was like for development, and I was just doing, covering scripts, answering phones, and then I started doing PA work on sets where I was just, picking up trash and doing anything people needed me to do. But I really, really quickly realized that as long as I was in this city, I couldn't not pursue what I really wanted. And I grew up doing theater, and I always wanted to be talent. The only thing that stopped me was my parents being practical, and also, me just getting in my own head and being like, I just don't know, this is really hard, it's really uncertain, but I always knew I wanted to. So then when my internship came to an end and I was leaving to go back to school, I just kept getting a lot of really cool opportunities. I got an opportunity to, have managers out here, and I kept getting PA opportunities. Somebody asked me if I could do a day on the Goldbergs, and, I kept telling people, know. And then when I was like about to leave, the day before I was leaving to go back to college, I was like, what am I doing? I am going to spend another 2 years in school to get back to the point that I'm already at. I'm turning down jobs. I'm turning down like really good, friendships and opportunities. So I just called up my parents, and they were really, really supportive. And I, went back to Texas and then drove back a week later with all my stuff, and that was that. But, I mean, if you had told me at the beginning of summer that I wasn't ever going to live in Texas again, I probably would have been way too scared to even come out here in the first place. So I think it was a really good thing for it to happen the way that it did.
Was there a particular moment or conversation you had with yourself about, no, I'm going to put myself out there and step in front of the camera? Not really. I mean, like I started acting, when I was like walking and talking, and it was just one of those things that I always did by myself. I loved reenacting scenes from my favorite TV shows and movies, and I was an only child, so growing up, I didn't have anybody to play with. So the craziest part, too, is that I would do the scene from every single character's perspective. And if there were 4 people in a scene, I would do the scene 4 times from 4 different points of view. And so that was just always just me being, like, weird and loving storytelling. And then, as I went throughout high school, I continued to do theater. I, started writing my own sketches for YouTube way back before that was actually cool. And I just always enjoyed it. So I think when I came out here, a big like defining moment for me, I guess, is when I was holding the boom. I was like the boom operator for like a month on like a mini series. And I kept listening to people and certain actors, I don't know, make a lot of mistakes. And I kept, it was in my ear. I was holding the microphone, and I kept thinking, man, if I was in their shoes, I would not be messing this up right now. And I kept thinking how badly I just wanted to throw the mic down and do it for them. And it was like it took everything in me to hold back. And that was probably the day I was like, I can't keep being on a set and not doing what I really want to do, because it's so hard. It's hard being around these people and hating your position, versus knowing exactly what you'd want to do and knowing that you're good enough to do it. Have you had a particularly fun moment as an actress so far on I Am Frankie? Like a scene that was just really fun to do?
So many scenes are really, really fun to do. I really like the scenes that involve physicality, like physical comedy, especially in season 1. There were quite a few falling scenes. I liked the scene where, I was shoving a bag in my locker, and then suddenly the locker flies open and I fall. That was really fun to do. And this season, there's a lot more action, and so I kind of got to work with a stunt coordinator for the first time, really in depth. And although my character doesn't fight, she gets pushed. And so in the hour-long premiere that we had a month ago, Alyse pushes me, and I fall to the ground. And that, although it lasted 2 seconds, it took over a week to prep so I didn't hurt myself. So that was really fun. As an actor, to do something like a character like that I'm not used to doing. And all of the Warpa scenes, all of the scenes with us in the suits breaking in and being super sly and stealthy, I felt like a total spy. And those are not, at this moment in time, those are not characters I feel like I would ever go out for or really book. So to get the chance to portray it, in a way that's accurate to me and what I already have done, it was just a really cool opportunity.
Do you have a particular type of character that you really feel like resonates with you when you were reading stuff as a kid or doing scenes by yourself? Did you have any particular themes you always gravitated towards?
I mean, I've always really liked the funny character, like the comic relief. So, I mean, it seems fitting that I'm, the funny best friend and the super likable character. Because, I mean, there's no other way to say it. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm a pretty likable person. I don't see myself ever being, the mean girl convincingly. Like, I can play it, but I don't know if it would sell as much as, the words coming from somebody else. So definitely the character who's kind of more of an underdog, probably the girl who, never usually gets the guy, the girl next door, like the super sweet one. That's usually my sweet spot.
Can you talk a bit about when you were, I assume, probably doing UIL or one act, being in a Texas high school? Do you remember where you were or what role you had when it first really solidified that this may be all I want to do?
Well, so the interesting thing about growing up and doing theater is that in our high school, I never got cast in anything great. I never did. I was always chorus. Sometimes I'd do crew. I really liked doing lights. But it was always kind of the same people over and over. And in high school, I really, really didn't look like anybody else. Height-wise, I always looked about, 5 to 8 years younger, which is a big problem in high school because I looked like, a middle schooler compared to people who are mature and tall. And so if I ever did get a role, it would be child number 2 or something, like, because I had, a really high voice and a really small stature, and I just looked so odd compared to everyone else on stage. And it wasn't until I went to a theater summer camp that lasted like 2 or 3 weeks at Stephen F. Austin. Every year they put on like a theater workshop where everybody gets cast. So you get opportunities, bigger opportunities, and you learn, and you have like 2 weeks. Each person was in 3 productions. And so they would have like a 1-act play, a period piece, and then like a 10-minute, just a random fun piece. And so everybody walks in and auditions, and all of the people who are, in charge of the program, who want to be theater directors and stuff like that, they all fight over you, they cast you, and so everybody gets opportunities, and you're not just child number 1 or number 2 or the light technician. So that was when I really got a chance to have like meatier roles and learn, like, there are arcs. You can say more than hello, good day, sir. And that was a really big thing for me.
If you weren't in front of the camera now as talent, was there a particular job that you saw when you were interning that looked like, wow, I didn't know that was a specific role on set?
Mm-hmm. I think I'm always really intrigued by scripty. I love talking to a scripty on set. They're so organized. They're all about continuity. Some people work with paper. Some people have transitioned to iPad. But I love seeing how a scripty works. And also, growing up, because I did YouTube, I really, really like editing. The only thing about editing that I'm not sure if I could do full time is, like, you are just kind of secluded in a dark room by yourself, and I feel like eventually I would drive myself crazy. But when I do edit in little tiny spurts, I enjoy it so much. So maybe something with editing, and I would love to direct one day. So that's a big one. Way later on, because I do believe that the best directors were also at some point actors, because they can really see things from a different perspective, and they have a way of talking things out with the actor, in ways that other people just wouldn't know how to. So those are, I definitely see myself dabbling into like a bunch of different things, as I grow and as the industry grows.
Well, I Am Frankie is airing right now, and everything I've seen of it, you are, not tooting your own horn, you are a super likable person on that show. Really enjoy your character. Really enjoyed talking to you today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Have a great rest of your day.
Yes, you too. Bye.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Electric Sweater Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener-supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/tvdudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is by our friend and original TV Dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and electricsweater.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.